My Lyft driver remembered me and waited outside my doctor's office. I've had the same Lyft driver pick me up 3 times over the past 2 years. The second time he already remembered me, which I thought was a little unusual, but didn't think too much of it. This time, he immediately recognized me again and started asking a lot of personal questions. Where I was going, why I walked to Starbucks, how long it takes, etc. I kept things polite but vague, because I don't like sharing personal details with drivers. I told him I was going to a doctor's appointment, and he asked if I was sick. I said no, just blood work. Then he questioned me about having coffee, which felt oddly intrusive. At one point he said, "Maybe I'll be your driver again. I'll be in the area." That already made me a bit uncomfortable, but what really stood out was after he dropped me off. I looked out the window from inside and saw him still sitting in the parking lot. That didn't feel normal to me. Instead of calling another Lyft right away, I walked about a mile away and then ordered a different ride home. Later that day, I blocked him in the app. He never said anything explicitly inappropriate, but the level of personal questioning, remembering me, and waiting outside made me uncomfortable enough to trust my instincts. He also complimented my appearance and said I did something different while looking back at me. Just wanted to share in case anyone else has experienced something similar. Now, if you thought that was unsettling, the next story is worse. We found a part of a human skull while renovating our house. Hello, Reddit community. I'm not sure if this is the right place to post a story like this, so please excuse my formatting and the length of this post, as I'm pretty new to Reddit. A few years ago, probably now 10 years, my mother and my stepfather bought a house in southern Europe. It was a bargain back then, as prices weren't skyrocketing like they are nowadays. The house was built sometime in the 1950s. It originally belonged to our current neighbor. Her parents built it after the war. They later built a new house right next to it and are still living there. She and her husband are now both over 70 and very kind people. Neither my mother nor my stepfather knew anything about the house's history when they bought it. I guess they just wanted to start a new chapter in their lives. It was a tough time back then because we were basically living in a construction site while they renovated a lot of things themselves. We found a few relics in the house, an old sewing machine, and some old war postcards that were hidden beneath the basement floor, but nothing too unusual at first. The property has 2 buildings, the main house with a basement and a smaller second building. We later found out that the second building used to be a goat stable. During renovations, they needed to remove the floor there, so they had to dig into the ground. We were pretty new in town at the time, and if you've ever lived in a very small community, you know how interested people are in newcomers. I'm sure we were the main topic of conversation back then, especially after what we found. While digging, we uncovered several animal remains. If I remember correctly, the first thing we found was a goat's pelvic bone, or maybe part of a spine. It's been so many years that I don't remember exactly. But then we found something much more disturbing, the top part of a human skull. It was very clear that it was real. You could see the cranial sutures, the seams where a human skull fuses together as it grows. My mom and stepfather didn't know what to do at first. We had just found what was clearly a human bone buried in the stable. I pushed my mom to call the police, and she did. Several police cars arrived, along with the local town doctor who came to examine the bone. You can imagine how many neighbors showed up to see what was going on. The doctor and the police confirmed that it was indeed part of a real human skull. They asked if we had found anything else besides this in the goat bones, but we hadn't. Strangely, they brushed it off as something a previous tenant might have left there. As quickly as they arrived, they left. They didn't even take the bone with them. They told us it was up to us what to do with it. A few days later, we talked more with the neighbors who had previously owned the house. At first, they were very happy that we bought it, since we seemed like a normal family finally bringing some life back into the place. But my mom wanted to know more about the house's history, so they told us what they knew. Some years before we moved in, they had rented the place out before eventually selling it. The first tenants were, according to them, a very troubled family. They had a daughter who was well known in town. I don't know how much of this is actually true, but the neighbors claim they were running some kind of brothel involving their daughter. I have no idea how long this supposedly went on or how many guests there were. Her room was still in its original condition when we moved in. There were satanic symbols painted on the walls and strange writings. Unfortunately, I don't have any pictures of the skull, bones, or the writing. This family had a very bad reputation in town, and people were relieved when they moved away. After them, a psychologist moved in. She lived there alone. Our neighbor told us she displayed animal skeletons around the property and even left them hanging on the outer walls to dry. They described her as very strange or eccentric. As you can imagine, she also had a bad reputation in town. I'd never seen or heard of someone openly drying animal skeletons where everyone could see them. As all of this unfolded, I couldn't help but look up the psychologist online. As far as I could find, she is still practicing today. To this day, we never found out why that human skull fragment was buried in the stable, or how it got there in the first place. My mom once suggested that maybe the psychologist had ordered it from a university for study purposes. But we'll probably never know. This happened about 10 years ago. I was 11 at the time. Every now and then I still think about it because it's just so strange. I still don't know where someone could even order something like that, or why you would bury it in such a random place. I just wanted to share this story here. Maybe someone has an idea why someone would bury something like this, and where a person could even obtain a human skull fragment. I guess it's just my curiosity. Edit. Also, maybe it's a good idea to mention the skull fragment was cleanly cut, like it was made with some sort of bone cutter. I think everyone has seen a movie where the top part is missing and the brain is visible, kind of cut like such a scene. I found a complete real skull for ordering in Switzerland. The top part is also cut like this one. The only difference are the screws that hold the skull together, which were missing on the thing we found. If stories like these keep you up at night, you're in the right place. Subscribe to Reddit Story Vault because I bring you the most chilling real encounters posted on Reddit. Hit that bell so you never miss one.